Welcome to another over-underrated, an opinion piece on a game from the past where we decide, did the critics or gaming community over or underrate the game? Did it gain momentum due to the hype, or did the hype mean it could only ever be badly received? Well, I think it's fair to say the Wild Wild West opus? No, not that Wild Wild West. Red Dead Redemption 2 was indeed massively hyped, backed up by the juggernaut that is Rockstar's PR department. It had lofty expectations to live up to. Did it deliver? Was it a beautiful sunset on the Wild Wild West? Oh god, get out of my head please, Will Smith. Or a giant horse turd you accidentally stepped in? The game ranks at a whopping 97% critic score and an 85% user score, leading us to a weighted score of 92%. Well, do not worry internet, I'm here to tell you the answer to that question. So let's get on with the huge, sprawling magnum opus that is Rockstar's Red Dead Redemption 2 and ask the important question everybody wants to know the answer to. Is it over or underrated? Visually, the game is simply jaw-dropping. Every time you begin another epic ride across the world, you are in for a treat. When you are slow trotting through the world at night and the moonlight breaks through the trees or the rain splashes down around you and the lightning lights up the hills, the visual wonder of Red Dead Redemption 2 is mesmerizing. It looks better than the games released in 2020, 2 years on. The day-night cycle provides more realism to everything you do. Knowing that it's almost midnight and you're far from your horse gives you a reason to pitch up a tent and start a campfire in the night. The lighting just reflects beautifully off the trees. Secondly, the world lives and breathes like no other world I have ever experienced. This is due to the outstanding script, voice acting, and interactions with the people of the world.
We've been on the run since you two fools went crazy in Blackwater. We barely escaped with our lives in Saint Denis. Now we got a rat.
Well, Molly clearly talked, but who else?
Maybe we pushed things too hard. Maybe time for folks like us is past.
Whether it be a random quip by a passerby, your charismatic leader Dutch, or just one of the many incredible compadres you traverse through your life with in your camp, the conversations are real and weighty. They are full of life, pain, happiness, sadness, hope. Off the top of my head, I can reel off a small list of conversations that were given so much colour by the voice acting. The delivery of the lines makes you realise that maybe women's rights haven't come as far as they should have in the 200 years since the suffragette movement. That maybe slavery was a terrible noose around the psyche of the black population of America and still is, or that the massacre and betrayal of the indigenous American population is something that hasn't been given the recognition it deserves.
Father has confused wisdom with weakness. His people, my people, we've suffered too much.
Rockstar doesn't force these narratives down your throat, but each path into the psyche of America's past is explored carefully. Gone is the trope of many open world games that the NPCs just remain silent and stationary with a question mark above their head until you interact with them. Instead, NPCs have an incredible imitation of free will, and the world feels much more alive for it. As you go about your business, events occur around you and you can choose to engage with them or not, just like real life. Prisoners being transported call out for rescue. A trapper stuck in a bear trap asks for help. A member of your gang will find you and ask you to help carry out an impromptu rescue. You'll even have other criminals from rival gangs trying to hold you up and assassinate you. You can help a blind beggar or ignore him. It feels as fluid as life itself. The voice acting from every single member of the cast makes this game feel so grand. This is the best voice acted game I've ever experienced.
Low decline, I guess.
What do you mean?
I ain't quite sure. What happened here?
I started gathering people up as best I could after you boys left. And John, you know that part.
I do.
It's what makes Red Dead Redemption 2 melt into your brain. It's the soul of the game. Red Dead Redemption 2 is only able to maintain this extremely high level of immersion because not one line or interaction pulled me out of it. Even if the animations at times try their best, the people of the world do not let you leave. The music is also fantastic. The ambient guitar or banjo, I don't know, I'm not a musician, that kicks in as you trot through the mountains and the hills is spine-tingling, if not downright emotional, almost every time.
Just head for the main street. It'll be easier to walk from there.
If you're coming to Red Dead Redemption 2 expecting Grand Theft Auto with horses, you will be rather perplexed and confused by the slow-paced, character-driven Wild Wild West historical drama that is Red Dead Redemption, in which you spend probably 60% of your time simply riding around the American wilderness, having deep and engaging, meaningful conversations with your outlaw friends about the way the world, or your leader Dutch, are going downhill rapidly. It sounds weird to say, but the gameplay here almost takes a back seat to the journey itself. The set pieces are wonderful, if a bit padded out, the gunplay is a touch too on rails, and the regurgitating of Dutch's crazy ploys or plots can drag out a little bit. The game sits at a humongous 80 hours, with current statistics saying the game has only been completed by 10% of the player base. Should that be seen as a criticism of the game? In my mind, definitely. There is such thing as too much of a good thing. Personally, I would have cut the whole Guava Island section and trimmed the game by a further 10 hours because people need to experience the game. And isn't it kind of failing the point of having a game with an incredible message if nobody even gets to the message in the end? On my run through, I didn't engage too much with side quests. This is because the game is already too much of a time investment for me personally, and was pushing how much time I can dedicate to a single game. I ended up clocking at just under 100 hours though. This is a story about the change, or lack thereof, of civilization, as a small gang of outlaws tries ever harder to outrun the advance of American society, as well as the enemies and lawmen they have pissed off along the way. The player's character, Arthur Morgan, is one of the central cast assembled around charismatic gang leader Dutch van der Linde, a classic western outlaw who blurs the lines between Robin Hood and clear criminal. The overreaching narrative is focused on Dutch and the gang and the relationships within it. The questions Red Dead Redemption 2 asks is, what happens when you decide to care about people more than loyalty? At what point do you ditch the ways of the past, maybe even the ways of your people, to advance a higher cause? Do you back the leader who has brought you so far and brought you so much in the past, or the greater good itself, the person or the people? It's a game about the fear of the future that reaches astounding new technical heights. It's a game about life, and sadly towards the end so much more, but there is always something to do here. Like Arthur Morgan himself, Red Dead Redemption 2 is quite meditative, sometimes even morose, more concerned with characters than giant spectacles. The ending reminded me of a scene from The Wire, widely regarded as one of the greatest TV shows ever made, when a young hustler of the hustlers, Omar, is killed, but nobody identifies him, nobody recognizes him. He dies and simply passes into history as a John Doe. He was a big player in the much bigger game of life, as was Arthur Morgan in the bigger game of civilized America. There can be no doubt that this is a landmark game. It is a new watermark for lifelike game worlds, certainly. But the world is also home to a narrative of America and America becoming civilized that is unexpectedly moving and not afraid to punch home its points. It takes its time, it's a slow trot, but it's a beautiful one at that. With very few exceptions, the many stories Rockstar have written here about this gang of misfits is absolutely incredible, sophisticated, absorbing. The narrative is about the changing face of society or societies, and in some cases, just how things haven't changed, how maybe at our core, human beings are hard-coded to be a certain way. Red Dead Redemption 2 is an astonishing achievement, a story told by a company in utter control of their craft. There are too many moving moments here to even begin to talk about. Too many conversations and debates between characters to unravel. Too many running commentaries on society that are thought-provoking. Rockstar should be applauded for even attempting to try something as big as Red Dead Redemption 2. Never mind actually pulling it off. Bravery should always be rewarded, otherwise we as a gaming community will just end up with a bunch of repetitive, no-mark sequels over and over again. Versus a weighted score of 92%, Red Dead Redemption 2 is underrated. Personally, I have it sitting at a strong 9. If you're in lockdown and fancy exploring the great outdoors, get Red Dead Redemption 2 and enjoy the ride. This is almost a masterpiece. I can't quite give it a 10 because there are things that I would change. There are moments where it lacks and it is just way too long. But it's as close as I can come to giving a game a 10 without giving it a 10. It is an essential piece of video gaming. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed that. If you did, please hit a subscribe, like, and hit the bell notification icon as it helps us out a ton. I will leave it there. Thank you for watching and take care.